going to get started. Got some announcements to make, and then we'll move forward. Heavenly Father, we gather here. We just thank you, Lord God, for this day. We thank you for this session. We thank you for all of our guest speakers and for Kris Fountain as he comes forth. Coach K, Father, comes forth and share with us, Father, principles of how you have blessed him to build the coaching business, the consulting business that he has going forth in North Carolina. And we just thank you for all that will be said and done. We pray for every person here that we'll continue to grow. We'll continue to learn. We'll continue to go forward, Lord God. We will not quit or faint in the day of adversity. And we just thank you for what you desire to do in us and through us. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. And another thing, last year's class, we didn't do it this year, but we recorded Mackenzie. And she answered about 12 questions coaches have about building a business. That's going to be on the website sometime soon. As soon as I get it to Carmen, it's going to be on the website. And she did a question and answer, and she answered some basic questions about that. Couple of announcements. Last week I talked about 2017 LTCA requirements for certification. It says to receive LTCA coaching certification, you should have received this, but it mentions some things. If you were not here to take on that Saturday for the place assessment, you can still get your Christian coaching certification by coming on Sunday mornings. Now, it's not going to be everything, but they're going to give you a good sharing on place. Only from 8:30 to 9:45. That's it. I know you got a class, Pam. But we'll work that out. Or Teresa's willing, if you let me know, Teresa will work with you one-on-one. Just let me know. For those who aren't here, we're here to work with you. I even have a video series that I can let you take home, borrow, and come back to. We're going to make it accessible for you for that. Plus, if you didn't get your books, these are your books for the place assessment. But the most important thing is to have to know what place means and how to operate. You may not ever use it. I know I will use it, though. I'm coaching someone who wants to discover their place in life, ministry, destiny, purpose. Is a great tool for that. And for someone who wants to be their own trainer, like Teresa, after talking to us here, she's thinking about making that God, she's training God about making that a part of her business and go to other churches and share that with them. They do training every April and May in Atlanta. What is that?
I think, can we go there?
I was saying, you want to pay for it, you go to the training. Okay, so these are books available. We want the books, they're back in the back. Get one of each for that. Graduation. We want this place full for graduate student people. We're going to support you. And we're also going to share with them a little bit about the Coaching Academy. For your certification, that's going to be 2 weeks. June 12th is our last class. So 14 days from there, June 26th. And graduation will be at 7 o'clock. And you have the first two or three rows be reserved for our students. And then after that, all of our guests will come in. And that means I'm looking for volunteers who would do a video testimony of what the class meant to them. We show videos. I got Avril, 1. Anyone else? 2, 3, 4. Anyone else? 5, 6. I'm keep going. I need 10. 8. Oh, okay. All right, 9. I will.
I think Bob had his hand up.
Pardon?
Bob had his hand
up. Hey, Lord, I'll get you more information on that. It'll be sometime before one of our classes here. We're going to actually come in as a short session. They're going to videotape you back in the back. Be short, and then you'll get a chance to that. And it goes on the website and everything. So those are the classes for that. 3, we like to have an end of the year celebration. You work so hard, so we want to have a good, fun event. You know, and so I've asked Robin to give us 2 dates that we can choose here that we're going to attend, and I will keep the rest of those dates. What were the dates we have that we're going to reserve, that you reserved already, Robin?
The 8th and the 22nd.
So we have, and they are Saturdays. And it's kind of like what we did last year. Joyce and I provided the meat. Everyone bring a dish to pass. July 8th was Saturday or July 22nd? I want to know from the group which Saturday is best for our end of the year celebration. This is just a family and friend celebration.
It's gonna be at
Rosewood Clubhouse. She said, really nice. The setup was. How many prefer the 8th? Raise your hand. How many prefer the 22nd? Raise your hand. How many just don't want to raise your hand? Let me go one more time. How many said it take? Raise your hand.
It's in July, right?
This is a Saturday, probably from about 2 to 6.
In July.
In July.
In July. How many said the 22nd? Okay. How many doesn't matter? Okay. 22nd. July 22nd, and I'll keep you up with that. I'll see you updated. If you can, we just want to make sure it's not all on Robin. So if some of you can help Robin in terms of the planning of it, please. Anyone? Need a few people to help Robin with the planning for it. Anyone else can help Robin? You got one?
Hey, Kris. Hey, how are you?
How are you?
Sorry, don't talk. You're over the whole class. Sorry. Sorry, I was saying hi to Kris.
Oh, baby. You should be volunteering with Robin. Okay, so we have those set up. Kris wants you to ask a lot of questions. He is back there.
Yeah, he's right here.
Y'all wave at Kris. Now you gotta wave over here by the screen. Before I started the academy, probably other than my family, the first person I talked to was Kris Foster. About 3 years ago. And he had just finished going through academy, his training, and he was just giving a long child. And I said, this was in my heart, either do some coaching or to start the academy. And Kris has been very supportive in prayer and talking to me over the years. You know, so every time I go to Charlotte, we try to connect. But this brother's there on the go. The last 2 times I missed him in Charlotte in person. The time before that, we got him at his house. We came over there and spent time with him at his house, make sure we settle down and watch. But he's a great brother, very smart, very sharp. He's an entrepreneur. He's a businessman. You know, and then most importantly, he's a man of God. He has a heart for God and loves God. And I just want you to give a big hand. Welcome Kris here now.
Well, thank you so much, Pastor Armstrong. And I just want to just say good evening to everybody. I like to, for those who may not know, my name is Kris Fountain, and they call me Coach K down here. And for those who don't know, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm allowed to call myself Coach K everywhere in North Carolina except for Durham, North Carolina, where the real Coach K is, if you know what I mean. So, but I just like to just give you a little backdrop of me personally, and then a little summary of me professionally as well. I was born in Lansing, Michigan, and I was raised in Grand Rapids, Michigan. But my mom and dad were born and raised in Kalamazoo. So I have a host of cousins and aunts and grandmothers and everybody else like that in Kalamazoo. And truly, Kalamazoo is and always will be my home. And back in 1994, if I can go as far back as 1994, I could tell you specifically November 19th, 1994, I got saved, and I got saved at Christian Life Center. And I think at that point in time, we were at the Old Central Shinnery Auditorium at that point in time. And prior to 1994, I really had no uh, exposure whatsoever to church. I guess you would call me the unchurched, if you will. And I can tell you that through the teachings of Pastor Armstrong as well as Pastor Brooks, they taught me, and not only just taught me, but modeled before me what it truly is to be a man of God, to be a father, a loving father, and a supportive husband as well. And I owe a great, just so much to Pastor Brooks, Pastor Vaughn, Pastor Armstrong, as well as Pastor Joyce. And words cannot describe the gratitude I have for them over the course of the years that I was at Stone's Church. Um, some of the things that I had opportunity to do while I was at Stone's Church is I started off in the usher ministry, and I moved up from usher ministry to the head usher to alongside with my wife Tangi Fountain. We actually served as Ministry of Helps coordinators for about 5 years, and then in 2010, the Lord had actually put on our heart to actually move, and we actually moved. I don't know why, guys. We just moved to this place called Charlotte, where the weather is gorgeous and it's usually sunny, and it's usually about 75, 85 degrees. But today it's kind of cloudy. We got thunderstorms, so I had to rebuke that because I didn't want any interference whatsoever with the internet or anything else like that. So we're all set here. But with all that being said, also, I'll end with this on the personal side. I'm married to my lovely wife, Tangelyn Fountain. She shares, and she wants me to just relay her love to everybody that knows her, that you guys are family to her. We've been married. We're celebrating our 20th wedding anniversary. We celebrated that in January. Thank you so much. Pastor Armstrong and Joyce were one of the three pastors that actually did premarital counseling for us. So I guess all that premarital counseling paid off, Pastor Armstrong. So I appreciate you in that endeavor as well. Um, just from a professional standpoint, boo, before I say that, I also got two daughters. I can't leave them out because they're also the love of my life. Imani and Naomi. I've got two sophomores. One sophomore at UNC Charlotte, and the other one is in high school. My youngest is in high school, so I'm about 2 years, y'all, from being an empty nester. So look out, 2 years from now, y'all. Y'all might see me on the international news somewhere in a good way, I hope. So just let you know, I'm looking forward to that as well. So many different things are happening. I think you guys had the opportunity to take a look at my bio from a professional standpoint. For over 20 years, I've actually been training specifically in the area of real estate, mortgage lending, financial literacy, wealth management, those kinds of things. I've owned and I still do own my own real estate company, and I'm the CEO of Fountain and Associates, which is a group as a consulting company. We're a management and consulting company, and we actually coach executives as well as small business owners, as well as regional and nationally recognized nonprofits. Some of those nonprofits being Habitat for Humanity, Junior Achievement, as well as the American Cancer Society. So that's just kind of give you just a backdrop, a little bit of what I am both personally as well as professionally. But today, I just want to kind of embrace each and every one of you guys as colleagues, as co-coaches and peer coaches. And what I tried to do today was to actually give you a presentation as it relates to what I try to do was to try to set up like this. Like if someone was to just kind of give me some counsel who was seriously considering having their own business as it relates to coaching, what would be some of those things that would be important for you to know? And I'm not here as an expert. I'm still learning and still, growing and developing myself. But I wanted to be able to share with each and every one of you who might be considering uh, uh, actually developing your own business in coaching in whatever endeavor that is, I'm hoping I can give you some kind of nuggets this evening that will be helpful. I'm going to give you quite a bit of information. I hope it's not too much, but I would encourage you to at least take maybe 2 or 3 of these principles that you think that really resonate with you, that you think that you could actually implement and execute like tomorrow, and maybe hang on those, and then just put the other ones on the shelf. So without further ado, I'd like to get started. If you guys are good, right? You guys okay? All right, sounds good. Also, what I'm doing too, I didn't want this to be a formal presentation in the sense that it just would be just me as a monologue and just talking. I certainly encourage feedback, just like Pastor Armstrong said. I encourage people to ask questions. So what I'll try to do is to actually share with you maybe 2 or 3 principles at a time, and then kind of open it up for questions or even comments as it relates maybe to your own situation, or something that may kind of resonate in your heart that you may want to share with me as well as the rest of the group. So with all that being said, let's get started. This first slide is basically showing you my structure as it's set right now with Fountain and Associates. It's not just me. I do have associates that work with me, along with, these are basically other coaches, other subject matter experts and trainers that work alongside with me as well. And towards the end of this presentation, I'm going to talk to you something new and exciting I'm going to try to offer to just your group, because you guys, I know you're well trained and going through the coaching certification process with Pastor Armstrong. I'm going to give an extension or an invite to you guys as it relates to the possibility of being an associate of Fountain and Associates. In addition to that, I have Common Sense Realty, LLC, which is the real estate arm of Fountain and Associates. And I've got a fully operational office, not only here in Charlotte, North Carolina, but also in Grand Rapids. Primarily, we focus on education. We also focus on commercial deals, and every once in a while we get into some real estate deals as well. And then I also have my New Beginnings in Education Network, which is truly the training arm of Fountain and Associates. And so those are the 3 pies, if you will, or the 3 pillars of Fountain and Associates. Moving forward to today's agenda, guys, I'm going to share with you what I call the 11 essentials for building your coaching business. Now, I assume that people in the class, I understand that some people may not necessarily be looking to have their own business, particularly in coaching. I think you can still get some kind of pearls of wisdom, if you will, out of this. But for those who are actually seriously considering developing and building a coaching business, I've got these 11 essentials that I want to share with you guys, as well as what I call my bonus, the 3 pitfalls to avoid as well. And so let's move forward with the very first one. First essential that you have to have is prospecting and networking. This is number 1. Prospecting and networking. Make no mistake about it, my dear friends, when it comes to coaching, whether you do it as a business or you just do it as an individual and you're not necessarily doing it as a business, coaching is a relationship and reputation building business. It's all about relationships, and it's all about your reputation and what you bring to the table. So always keep that in mind as it relates to coaching and the coaching business. The other thing that you also have to be very mindful of is that when it comes to your clients, and when I mention clients, I'm mentioning specifically people who are actually paying you for your services, your coaching services. Clients only work with coaches that they know, like, and trust. Again, those are the key components when it comes to gaining and acquiring clients. Clients only work with people that they know, like, and trust. So in order for people to get to know you, and let's assume that it is a stranger, well, obviously there has to be some kind of relationship that's built. Okay. I've been married, like I told you guys before, for 20 years. And when I first met my wife, Tangelin, and we went out on our first date, I did not ask her to marry me on that first date. I wanted to, but I didn't. Okay. And so oftentimes most coaches are going right in for the jugular and asking for a deal. And these people are like, wait a minute, I don't even know you. So take that time to build a reputation. Take the time to build your relationship with your clients. The other thing that you also want to be mindful of is what I call the sales cycle. Sales cycle basically means that oftentimes, depending on what type of coaching business that you have, and also depending on the type of clients that you want to actually draw in and attract, the sales cycle can be anywhere from 1 month to 2 years. Okay. As I told you before, I'm in the real estate game. And so a lot of people know me as a realtor. They know me as a trainer because I've certified housing counselors and realtors and other people, real estate professionals in that vein. So if I wanted to get a new client, particularly in that arena, it may only take me like a week to get a new client. But if I wanted to attract, let's say, an executive or maybe even a Fortune 500 company, well, that may take me a little while to get those people. That may take me a year or two. So those are the things that I want you to be kind of mindful of. I call it the sales cycle, but it's really has to do with the duration from first contact you make from a potential client or lead to the actual time when that person becomes your client or your customer. The other thing I got, and I got this from Pastor Armstrong himself: no contact, no impact. Everybody say it with me: no contact, no impact. Okay. And what that basically means is that, you have to go out and contact people. And so one of the things that I have an interesting statistic here is it says that 2% of deals are made, only 2% of deals are made from the first contact. 3% of deals are made on the second contact. 5% of deals are made on the third. 10% are made on the fourth contact. And listen to this: 80% of deals are made either on the fifth to 12th contact. Okay. So one of the things that when I talk about context, so I can kind of dig a little bit deeper into that, I'm referring to not just simply making contact with someone, let's say on a phone call or meeting them face to face. You have to be creative. Sometimes it may mean I've done handwritten postcards, just to kind of distinguish myself between, one person and the other. I've done Facebook. I've got a closed Facebook page. I've done podcasts. I've done blog talks. I've done radio. I've done a number of things to where I call contacts, where you're actually reaching out and you're building that reputation and you're building that relationship with a potential lead. And so keep that in mind. Again, if you don't remember anything else I said when it comes to this one essential thing, is that clients only deal with those people that they know, like, and trust. The overall scheme is this, and if you can see my 3 squares here at the very bottom, and this is something I wanted to share with you guys. When it comes to business, average businesses have clients, good businesses have fans, and great businesses have audiences. They have an audience. So that when it comes for you as a business owner, when you want to say something, if you already have an audience, you don't have to go through a whole bunch of marketing hoops and loops and whatever else like that. Why? Because you already have an audience. So ultimately, when you're doing your prospecting, your networking, and we'll talk a little bit more in another slide about having a strategic marketing plan, you ultimately want to get to the point where your business actually has an audience. Let's go to principle number 2 here. And after this principle, I'm going to stop a little bit for some questions and comments. Principle number 2, developing yourself and building your team. Developing yourself and building your team. First thing that you have to do is believe. Everybody say believe. You have to believe in yourself. It's not what you don't know that holds you back. It's what you do know that is not true that holds you back. You have to believe in yourself, and believing in yourself is a choice. Make no mistake about it, guys. You can do all the networking and prospecting and everything else like that that you want. But if you are face to face with a potential client or a potential lead, I don't care if that person is 2 or 102. If you don't believe in yourself and believe in your services, that's going to be like um, it's going to be shouted out internally from your soul and your spirit to that person. And that person, you may be saying all the right things. And if you don't believe in yourself and believe in your product, that person is going to be just shaking their head, no, like, I'm sorry, darling. No, no, I'm not going to do it. And they probably can't even tell you a specific reason why. But what they probably understand, even from a deeper interpersonal level, is that this person doesn't believe in themselves. So why should I believe in them? Why should I be a client of theirs? Why should I go ahead and spend money on their particular service? So it's crucial that you believe in yourself, that you believe in the service that you're providing. It's an attitude that you develop over time. Okay, it's not something that just happens overnight, but it just evolves and you continue to develop that belief system. If you assume in favor of yourself and act as if it is possible, then you will do the things that are necessary to bring about the result. If you believe it is impossible, you will do what is necessary and you will not produce the result. Either way, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you have to believe in yourself. The other thing too is I encourage people to start where you are. Start where you are, do what you can, and work with what you have. When I first started Common Sense Realty, oh my goodness, about 15, 16, oh man, what I'm talking about, 20 years ago in Kalamazoo, I lived in a duplex apartment. I owned the actual house itself. It was on 611 Birdie Street. And in the truest entrepreneurship fashion, I actually had Common Sense Realty nestled in my enclosed porch. It was a heated enclosed porch, and that was my office. Okay, I had a phone, I had a desk. Okay, I was the CEO of Common Sense Realty and the janitor and everything else in between. But I had to focus. I had to start where I was. If I would have waited until I had everything together and put together and all my ducks in a row, it would have never happened. So you start where you are, you do what you can, and you work with what you have. You know, it was important for me to focus when the beginning of Common Sense Realty. It was important for me to focus on what I could do and not what I couldn't do. I had to focus on what I did have and not what I didn't have. Oftentimes, it was just a belief system. I was going out there, guys, prospecting, networking, and I didn't even have any business cards. But I believed in myself, and I believed in what I was doing, and that's what kind of carried me through until I got to that point where I could get some business cards. Leadership is the other thing. I think you guys are very familiar with the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. And Mr. Maxwell always says that leadership, it says everything rises and falls on leadership. So you have to develop in the area of leadership and continue to pour in the area of leadership. Now, this is regardless if you wind up having a coaching business or not. This is something that is generic and germane to every one of us, including myself. Then lastly, I have what I call ADDIE, which is an acronym, ADDIE, ADDIE. And this basically means that when it comes to any kind of concept or methodology that you may have or best business practice that you may want to implement, basically take it through what I call ADDIE. A is for analyze, D is for design, the other D is for develop, the I is implementation, And then the E is evaluation. Again, A for analyze, D for design. The other D is for development. The I is for implementation, and the E is for evaluation. I'm a big proponent in proof of concept. If I have a great idea and it's something that's in my mind or whatever it's like that, I believe in proof of concept. And how I actually go through that process is through Addy. Okay. I analyze the situation, I analyze the idea, I design it and customize it so that it's implemented within my coaching business, Fountain Associates, or what have you. Then I develop it, and I allow it to grow. And then more importantly, I implement it. And then once I implement it, I evaluate and see what tweaks I need to do. When I evaluate it, I need to see what I need to stop, start, and continue. So you just kind of do it from there. And from that point on, you repeat the process again. So this is Addy. If I had enough room, I would put Addy, 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 because you're always doing that. Okay? So those are some things that I just wanted to kind of talk about, those first two things. And I want to kind of open it up for any questions or questions or anything else like that. Before I do that, though, I want to get to this next step, because I did say that you need to develop yourself, but I also need to talk about building your team too. And I think you guys have always, you've heard this old adage of teamwork makes the dream work. And I think that just by you guys being a part of Stone's Church and part of Pastor Brooks and Pastor Armstrong's teaching, you're very familiar with staffing your weaknesses. And that's something that I try to do as much as I can in terms of staffing my weaknesses. But what I really want to talk to you a little bit about is your inner circle. Your inner circle. And what do I mean by that? Well, this is your inner circle that kind of helps you in every area of your life. And what you have to have when it comes to your inner circle, you need these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 folks. You need a Jethro in your inner circle. The Jethro was the wise elder who had a fatherly relationship with Moses. He was actually Moses' father-in-law, and he provided wise and prudent counsel to Moses at a seminal moment during Moses' leadership. So you need that Jethro in your life, in your inner circle, because Jethro had the wisdom, and more importantly, he had Moses' respect, okay, to coach him in regarding leadership and management through empowerment and delegated authority. So, those are the Jethro, you need that type of person in your life. You also need a Ruth, a nurturing and wise elder who had, and she had a motherly relationship with Naomi, and she mentored Naomi, and Naomi served and honored Ruth in their relationship even after Ruth's son, which was Naomi's husband, died. Naomi was rewarded, of course, through her service when she met and married one of the wealthiest and honorable men in the region, which was Boaz. So you need a Jethro and a Ruth in your inner circle. You also need a Samuel, a prophetic voice that is wise enough to provide an encouraging word to you, but also strong enough to give you a word of correction, as long as it's tempered and laced with love too. So you need that person, that Samuel in your life as well. You also need a Moses. Moses, the person that leads you from one stage or season of your life, whether that be career, whether that be relationship, whether that be business or something else. And again, this is a person that helps you through the journey, but they may not be there when you reach your destination. Because Moses got, as you guys know the story, Moses took the Israelites to the edge of the wilderness, but it was Joshua that took them to the promised land. But it was necessary for Moses to get them through the wilderness so that Joshua could take them to the promised land. You need that Moses in your inner circle. And lastly, you need a Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. And what are these? These are basically your peer mentors who support and encourage you zealously. These are your champions. These are your advocates. These are your confidants, okay? And they will tell you when you are wrong, but they will support you zealously at the same time. They are your prayer warriors. They are your intercessors, your friends. Again, your advocates and your champions. I have a group that I call my tribe, okay? And I've known them for decades. This is the group whose opinion of me will not change, and that's in a positive way. And no matter what stage of life I'm in, be it recovering from a mistake or setback or life altering occurrence, they've got my back. We've prayed together, mourned together, celebrated, recovered, and praised together. Okay? There isn't one thing that I would not do for my tribe. You need these kind of people in your inner circle. Okay? So with that being said, I'm going to stop really quick and see if there's any questions based on the first two principles that I shared with you guys. I hope I wasn't going too fast there.
Kris, a lot of good stuff. I'm gonna get mine in before everybody.
I was,
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now. Yes.
When you talked about no contact, no impact, you talked about how 80% of sales are made on the fifth to eighth contact.
Yes.
Do you believe that there's a strong demonic thing that goes on with people as far as them moving forward before they get to that third or fourth or fifth level to keep them from where God wants them to be? And I know the answer is yes, but I'm just saying, is it something like really, really strange that happens with people so that they can't really see the end? I know what the answer is, but I just want to know your experience with that as far as trying to convince people to keep pushing forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's an excellent point. And I think that every one of us has a wall, and oftentimes, whether you are coaching, whether you are a manager or a leader of some kind, oftentimes we find ourselves managing and leading people the way we want to be led and managed. And oftentimes, once a person gets past that or gets to that third contact, in the back of their mind, whether it's conscious or unconscious, they're like, man, I'm pestering this person. I don't want to be a pester. I don't want to be a bother. I don't want to do. But you have to be, there's got to be something inside you that actually pushes through that. Now, what I have found out, Pastor Joyce, is that by people knowing this fact that 80% of deals are made on the fifth and 12th, between the fifth to 12th contact, that is an encouragement to a lot of people, because then it was like, well, I didn't realize that was news to me. That's a revelation to me. And it keeps them motivated and encouraged to go beyond that third contact, because most of the people are going to stop at the third contact. Okay. I can tell you from my own personal experience, one of the largest deals that I had as far as an executive client that I'm currently working with today, I think I had gotten down to like the 12th or 13th contact. They knew me on a first name basis. They knew me, the secretary knew me as Coach K. You know what I mean? I thought I was going to have her as a client there for a minute, but I was persistent. And through that persistence, I was able to actually garner and acquire that corporate contract that I have to this day.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, this is Leona. My question is, when you were talking about no contact, no impact, and you said you would do things like radio blogs, postcards, that kind of thing. Were you talking a one-on-one contact or reaching out in various areas to your audience?
I did a combination, and one of the things that I believe, I'm a big proponent in going straight to the head if I can. And so oftentimes what I would do is I would reach out one-on-one from, like, let's say the head of a department, which I'm trying to reach out and talk to someone, because I knew that they had influence within that particular organization. So if I could, build a relationship with that particular department head, then I know that it would trickle down with everyone else. So oftentimes that's what I would try to do. I would try, if I was doing one-on-one, it was always one-on-one with someone who had influence, someone that was in charge of at least a department, if not the entire business. Because again, I'm also a small business coach too. So, oftentimes I would go straight to the CEO or the CFO of a small business and say, look, I'm trying to reach out. This is one of my contacts. Again, the handwritten postcard was a nice touch because again, not very many people get a handwritten postcard. The blogs and some of the other things was just really something that, if nothing else, it was a platform that put me in a position to actually be a what they call a subject matter expert. And so I knew that it wasn't necessarily my blog, but it was another person's blog, and I knew that they had a certain sphere of influence, and this is going to be reached out to a number of different people. I've gotten leads from that as well. So I think it varies, but whenever it came to one-on-ones type of things, because of my particular clientele, small business and executives, I'm always trying to go as high up on the hierarchy chart as I can to reach that person that has the greatest influence.
Thank you.
Catherine?
Hey, Kris, this is Catherine. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, Catherine?
I'm good.
Good.
I have two questions as it relates to developing yourself and building your team. You didn't really mention, as it relates to developing yourself, developing your skill set, whether that is taking leadership classes, going to leadership conferences, reading certain books. So if you can speak about a little bit more about developing yourself. And then a second question along those same lines, can you speak about the importance of having not only a passion, but some level of expertise as it relates to the area of coaching that you plan to go in? For example, if you decided to be a health coach, hopefully you have some type of, it's more than a passion, but it's a lifestyle.
Right. Absolutely. Very good points, Catherine. Starting with the first one, as it relates to developing yourself, I've encouraged a lot of people, and I've done this through a lot of my training classes, is that I believe that everybody should have what I call a PDA, a professional development account. I think that as a part of my budget, and I've been doing this for about 25 years now, as a part of my own family personal budget, Tangi and I have what we call a personal development account. 25, 30 years ago, I could only put like $20 in there. So that was just enough for me to actually buy a book. The very first book that I just so happened to purchase was The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. After I got that book, I understood that, and I think I got this from you, Pastor Armstrong, what he taught me about leadership and so forth. I knew that before I could develop a business, I had to develop myself first. And so I had to invest in myself through leadership. Now there's certainly other books that I actually have read. And to be honest with you, Catherine, I consider a lot of these books, even though I've never met these people and the author of these books, I consider them mentors of mine, if you will. And so, for example, some of the books that I've been reading, and I'll just share with you guys my library list here really quick, if we could do this really quick. Jump, the book entitled Jump by Steve Harvey, is one of the books that I read in the last quarter. The Success Principle by Jack Canfield and Janet Switzer. And that's basically John Canfield and Janet Switzer. How you get from where you are to where you want to be. I've had this book entitled Rework by Jason Fried and David Hansen. Rework is really talking about a totally different mindset when it comes to business, particularly in 2017 and beyond, and really preparing people not only for the here and now, but what what's the business culture going to be like 20 years from now? Very good book. Faith and the Marketplace by Bill Winston. David John, The Power of Broke. Damon John, excuse me, and that was one of the sharks on what is it? What's the name of that? Thank you. Yeah, that movie. I can't remember that series or whatever like that, but Shark Tank. Thank you. And it's called The Power of Broke by Damon John, and he talks about, he gives basically a series of testimonies, if you will, of stories of people who literally started from nothing and how being broke leveraged their creativity, and being broke caused them to go beyond, like you were talking about, John, Sister Armstrong, going beyond that third contact, being hungry enough because you're broke enough to go and push beyond your comfort zone. So those are some of the things I just to kind of share with you. I've certainly, as a coach, I also have a coach that I've actually invested in myself, and not only my coaching ability, but he is also my coach. I have a number of different coaches, one of them being Dr. Mark Sharona is one of my coaches. I actually went down to Orlando during the Easter holiday and met him for the very, very first time face to face. So that was pretty cool. But my point in all this is that you have to invest in yourself and develop yourself. And that goes with books, that goes going to seminars, conferences, things of that nature. That goes without saying that you definitely have to do that. To your second point, Catherine, and I'll end with this, is that certainly when it comes to any specialty that you have as it relates to coaching, it needs to be a lifestyle. It needs to be something that you're passionate about as well, too. Because if not, if you're just doing it because you just think that, oh, I think this is a nice niche and I'm passionate about it, whatever, it's like that. But it kind of goes back to that belief system and believing. It's got to be a lifestyle. It has to be integral in your life, because that also exudes to a potential client as well. Okay. There's an old saying where it says, you can't teach what you don't know. You can't lead where you won't go. You can't impart what you have refused not to become yourself. And so you have to be able to, it's all about credibility. Goes back to that reputation, and this being a reputation and relationship building business, and have that as well. Very good points, Catherine, as it relates to coaching and developing yourself.
Any more questions? All right, Kris, move on. Thank you.
All right. Number 3, identify your dream client. I think it is imperative that you do this before you get into the business itself. You need to take some time to identify your dream client. What does that person look like? What are their passions? What books do they read? What are their goals and dreams and desires? Okay. Take it a step further and do what I did. I actually had some phrases in terms of what my ideal client would be and what that person would be. And I was like, okay, some of those things were like, okay, this person is going to be someone that is motivated by helping people more than money, someone that is an executive, someone that is driven and ambitious. I just put all these different, characteristics, and I put it in Google Images, and guess what I got? Joyce Meyer. And the other person I got, Mike Bloomberg. I can tell you right now that neither one of these are my clients, but you guys give me 5 more years, and I'm gonna have a good report for you, right? I'm gonna have a good report for you. These are gonna be my clients, okay? But I encourage you to do that. Go to Google Images. Before you do that, just put down some phrases on who would be your dream client. Who is your dream client as it relates to coaching, and put that in Google Images and see what you come up with. By the way, these two are on my dream board. Okay, so I do have a dream board, and they're both on my board. So I see this every day. Okay, and that keeps me motivated as it relates to building my business and developing myself, so where I can actually attract clients like Joyce Meyer and Mike Bloomberg. Okay. Fourth one is fostering cooperative partnerships. Um, One of the things that I found out very early on in this coaching business is that you can't do this alone. It can't be, you can't be siloed as it relates to your coaching business. I have found that there have been many people that I've partnered with where uh, we may have the same type of clientele, or our coaching specifics is specific is similar, but I didn't look at them as competition, because I guess in my vantage point, I've always believed that anything that is for me, that has my name on it, is going to come to me anyway. And one of the other things that I've also realized too is that through cooperative partnerships, I've been able to actually expand my business, and it's opened me up to more opportunities because of partnerships. One example that I can give you is that I believe that Mr. Arvell Craig, who's also known as the marketing coach, he too was a member of Stone's Church, and he's got his own coaching business. He's known as the marketing coach. Him and his lovely family are out in the Phoenix, Arizona area. And Arvell, when it comes to marketing funnels and marketing ladders and things of that nature, he's one of the best in my opinion. And I'm working with him to expand my marketing strategy and so forth. And I understand that he's going to actually be speaking to you guys. I think he said it was like May 22nd, I think it was. But certainly you're going to get a wealth of information from Arvell. But again, here again, I've worked and I've partnered with him on several different aspects. He's helped me with my business, and then there have also been situations where I may be a little weak on the marketing end, and I know that he's strong, and I know that this particular client that I'm looking at, I'm trying to acquire, marketing is a very important component of that, along with some other things that I bring to the table. So why not partner together? I believe in this old saying I got from my grandmother: I'd rather have 50% of one as opposed to 100% of none. So that's why I believe. I believe in cooperative partnership, and that's one of the things that I've done. And I would encourage, if you get into this business, that you find those like-minded people that you can actually partner up with as well. Number 5 is your rates. Your rates, your worth. This one is probably a little bit more. I wish I could probably spend. Let's put it this way: I could probably spend the rest of the session on this alone. But one of the things that I will say is that when it comes to the rate, what are you going to charge? What are you going to charge for your services? I would encourage you to do these 3 things: research, interview, and dive. Let's talk a little bit about research. You need to find out specifically, if you know you're going in a specific coaching section, you need to find out what is the prevailing rate. What are other folks that are in this business along with you? What are they charging? Okay. How long have they been in the business? The type of, there's other different factors, of course, like market saturation, obviously supply and demand, what's going to be your geographical territory or your footprint. All these things obviously play a big part into that. More specifically, I may charge something a little bit different if I was, let's say in Kalamazoo, Michigan, as opposed to Charlotte, North Carolina. So those are some things that you have to kind of be mindful of. But certainly you got to do the research. take it a step further and actually interview individuals and talk to individuals in terms of how they actually do their price points. Why are they? What are their rates? And how did they come up with that dollar amount? One of the things that you definitely need to know too, as a part of your research, is that you need to know when it comes to anything that you do. And then let's just say, for sake of example, we just talk about 1 hour. 1 hour of your coaching, let's say you have a coaching session that's going to be for 1 hour, you have to be mindful of not only your time to actually implement that 1 hour, but what else is included into that 1 hour of service that you're actually providing. There's some research that has to be done. There's some customization to that particular client that has to be done. You know, it also depends on your familiarity and your expertise and your knowledge base as it relates to that particular topic as well. So these are some things that you have to keep in mind. And some of the things that I know just inherently is that if I have a 1 hour coaching session, I know that that's going to take, there's a 1-to-1 ratio for me when it comes to the research and the preparation that needs to take place to that one given hour. I need 1 hour of research and preparation. When it comes to my training, and I train trainers, depending on the subject matter and so forth, then I know that for 1 hour of training or presentation that I have, I know it's going to take about 2 hours of research of preparation. Even if it's something that you're familiar with, you always have to take time to do the research to make sure that there hasn't been a new trend or a new fact or figure or legislation or research or new test pilot or whatever the case may be that you probably are going to have to implement in that presentation. And then finally, you're just going to have to simply take the dive. I wish I could do it. I say it a little bit more simpler than that, or give you something a little bit more deeper than that. But quite frankly, part of this is just you just simply going out and taking the dive. And more than likely, you're going to do what most of us have done, including myself. You're probably going to wind up lowballing yourself. Okay, you're probably going to go on the low end because you're trying to break into the market or whatever else like that, and you're going to lick your wounds. And then you're going to go make an adjustment. You're going to implement Addy, and you're going to say, okay, now I know what I should be charging, and this is what I'm going to be doing from this point forward. One of the things that I would share with you guys, and I share this with a lot of my people that I coach, as well as people that I train, is that when it comes to your learning experience, particularly when it comes to rates and your worth, you know, one of the things that you have to be mindful of is that when it comes to coaching and being certified and everything else like that, everything that you need to know about coaching and the business and everything else like that, it is nowhere in the world you're going to know everything, particularly in a classroom environment. Some things are taught, other things are caught through observation and mentorship, and then there's other things that you just simply have to experience for yourself. Okay, that's also part of the learning process, and that applies to your rates and your worth. One of the things that I would encourage as we talk about your rates and your worth is that before you go out into the business and you make your contacts and everything else like that, I would strongly encourage you to figure out what are you going to actually give for free. What are you, as a professional coach, what have you, what are you going to give for free that has value? Now, when I talk about freebies and everything else like that, you know, it's really up to you in terms of what you want to determine what's going to be free and what you're going to offer for free. But I do believe in the principle of seed, time, and harvest. So you look at that as a seed. Even if it's something that is free, I always let people know, my clients know, what the actual value of that service is. Okay. I think it's important for them to know that. And one of the things that I've actually implemented just recently is that I actually, if somebody is, I want to work with, and I know that they can't necessarily afford the rate or what have you, there have been times when I've actually provided what I call a scholarship for them. They know what that scholarship is worth. They know exactly what my time is worth. And in honor of my late mother, who passed away 11 years ago, I call it the Barbara Fountain Scholarship. And so if they go through the process, because they have to apply, it's not just that something I'm just giving them like a coupon. They actually have to apply and then tell me why they're deserving of this scholarship. And then in most cases, if they're awarded that scholarship, we move on and we move forward from there. But I think it's important that you make a determination on what you're going to actually provide to your clients for free. I think it's important that it is something that you actually provide that has some value, and you convey and also you convey what that value is to those potential clients. Research, interview, dive. So before I move on to the next ones, any questions related to your rate, worth, fostering cooperative partnerships, and identifying your dream client?
Any questions?
Where does he suggest we start it? Where do you suggest we start our rates at?
What do you suggest on what?
Where do you suggest we start our rates at?
Oh, rates? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got it. It really depends, to be honest with you. I think that's an excellent question. It really depends on the specific clientele and customer that you're going after. Okay. I have seen where coaches have charged as low as $25 an hour, and I've seen coaches who are making $5,000 an hour. And again, it depends on the market. It depends on the clientele. Okay. I can also tell you that, particularly my experience when it comes to if you're going after executives, if you're too low, it's just like fundraising. If you can go too high, but you can go too low too. And if you go too low, they won't take you seriously. You follow what I'm saying? So again, I wish, again, it varies because there's so many different variables, market saturation, the target market that you're looking at, so many other things, the service that you're providing. It just so many different variables. It's hard for me to specifically answer that question.
Okay, thank you.
Kris, for the class,
Yes.
in a couple of weeks, I will tell you the rates that I got from researching Kalamazoo area.
Thank you.
It wasn't global, but it was a wide range.
I'm sorry.
Kris,
Is it a wide range?
it was 25 as a low and about 750 an hour as a high.
Yeah.
But I'll let you know that the average rates, and I brought stuff on several people, did some research on it.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, you're going global too.
Right. Absolutely.
So I have a question. How important is it for you to know your local market if you plan on doing most of your marketing and everything to people via the internet?
Well, I think because, again, your exposure to the internet is going to expand well beyond the local market. I think that for some people, again, it depends on the particular clientele that you are going after. Some people may want to start in their local market. Again, I'm a big proponent on proof of concept. And what I mean by that is that if maybe it would be prudent to start in my local market, to develop my craft, to customize this thing, to perfect it, and then launch out into a wider, more broader market. To give you some kind of example, for me, I'm here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've had a few clients here in Charlotte, but I've got people out in Raleigh. I've got people in Columbia, South Carolina. My first coaching clients, my first 10 coaching clients, they weren't even in the same state. I was actually getting people from out of Houston, Texas, just to kind of give you an idea. Again, a lot of my coaching was either through Zoom or through the phone or whatever it's like that. I didn't see a lot of my folks face to face per se. So you definitely have to be adaptable and open. But I do believe that if you can start in your local market just long enough to get your proof of concept, you get the proof of concept down, perfect your craft and then launch out. That's just my mindset. I'm not saying that's what you should do, but that's just my thought process as it relates to this coaching business.
Any other questions for Kris? Okay, Kris, keep going.
All right. Well, let's talk about number 6, failing. Everybody say failing forward. Failing forward. And I got this Michael Jordan quote here where it says, I failed over and over, and that is why I succeed. There are going to be times where you're going to have setbacks. You're going to make mistakes, and you have to understand that that is the process. Again, failure, in my opinion, is the building blocks towards success. And so you have to be, you may not necessarily like it, but you're going to have to at least appreciate and comply with that process. And I have the A in here in bold and in red because A is for awkward. It may be awkward. Sometimes some of your failures and your setbacks are going to be public. Okay, and if you're like me, I like to be in control. I like to be cool and everything else like that. I want everybody to know that I have everything under control. But the reality is that that's not true. And that part of failing are some of those lessons that you have to have in order to perfect your craft. I have another box here where it just literally shows the steps of success. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have disappointments. You're going to disappoint yourself. You're going to be disappointed by others who basically, didn't make up or didn't come up with their end of the bargain, whether that be clients, whether that be partners that you depended on and so forth. You're going to have failures and setbacks. You're going to have betrayal. There's going to be times when you're going to be broke. But everything there is set up so that you can actually achieve your goal. And then once you've achieved one goal, guess what? We start the process all over again. You make those mistakes and disappointments and everything else like that. But again, failure is the building blocks towards success. So that's part of the process. I wish somebody would have told me that before I got started in business in general and so forth. But again, this is my experience, and it's very similar to a lot of other people's experience as well. Number 7 is what I call the purging process. And I actually used 1 Corinthians 13 and 11, where it says, when I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, I understood as a child. But when I became a man, and I got in parentheses here, coach. We know it doesn't say coach, but when I became a coach, I put away childish things. And in my humble opinion, childish things is anything that is a distraction that keeps you from achieving your goal. Okay? You have to eliminate doubt and unbelief, fear and uncertainty. Okay? Pride. You have to eliminate always being in control. From a practical standpoint, you need to eliminate what I call unfruitful conversations. And it's not just simply gossip, but there may be situations and conversations that you've had in the past, let's say 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that were okay for you. But now when you have those conversations or similar conversations, it becomes an irritant to you. Why? Because you're growing, you're eliminating those distractions. For some of us, this may eliminate distraction, may be television, watching too much television, on social media too much. For some of us, that may mean we may need to improve our diet. We need to exercise more. We need to rest and relax more. We need to meditate. We need to get in God's word more. All of these things could be set up as distractions. One point example I would give you, in the beginning of this year, the first 21 days, I usually do some kind of fast. And, I was felt led to actually fast television and social media is what I wind up fasting for the first 21 days. Now, usually, guys, I usually read anywhere from 6 to 7 books in a given year. In a calendar year, I usually read about 6 or 7 books. Guess how many books I read? Guess how many books I read in those first 21 days? I actually read 10 books in 21 days when I eliminated television and when I eliminated social media for those first 21 days. So that told me, and that was something, again, I'm not saying that this is something that you have to do. I'm not saying this as a religion, but I'm just sharing you with my example and my experience. But for me, it told me that I'm probably operating out of maybe 25%, within 25% of my maximum potential. And that wasn't acceptable to me. So I was like, I need to eliminate that. I need to pour in a little bit more. I tell a lot of people in my coaching sessions and everybody else that may want to have their own business and so forth, small business owners. I tell them like this: when it comes to television and everything else like that, particularly television, if you're spending more time watching Empire than building your own empire, then something is wrong. Let me say that again. If you're spending more time watching Empire than you are building your own empire, then something is wrong. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind. Eliminate the distractions. It's the childish things. Anything, I define childish things as anything that is keeping you from achieving your goal. Sometimes you have to have a period or a season of sanctification and isolation, if you will, to achieve your goals. And so keep that in mind, guys. Number 8 is leveraging the power of creativity. That is Coach K that you see right there in the middle of. That guy is dapper, isn't he? But let me stay focused here. Hold on, let me stay focused. Leveraging the power of creativity. Um, there's a saying that I have, and it just kind of just mushroomed in my spirit, and it just basically says, if you don't see it, then go out and create it. Because oftentimes, some of the things that may be resonating in you as a coach, as a business owner, or just as a person, you may not necessarily have an actual model or an actual example that you can actually see. But I would encourage you to still move forward and go and create it. Leverage your creativity, leverage the principle of creativity so that you can move forward and create that thing that God has called you to create. So that was one of the things I wanted to kind of implement in here and to try to encourage you as it relates to leveraging your creativity. Before we go on to the last 9, 10, and 11, I want to stop right there and just and see if anybody had any questions on the last 4 or 5 points here. Failing forward, purging process, leveraging the power of creativity.
Questions?
Give us an example of how you leverage the power of creativity.
Well, for me, I think just giving birth to my businesses. I think that the businesses that I have with Common Sense Realty, Fountain and Associates, and the New Beginnings Education Network have those are things that, again, there were certainly prototypes, but I knew that there was something that was missing that other people didn't have that I could bring to the table. And so I think that my businesses is my creative element for me. I can certainly probably, if I thought about it, think of some better examples in terms of what I've done. I think that it's important that that creative element, even when you're actually doing business and you're developing different concepts and methodologies within your business, be creative with it. Add some spice to it. Put your personality on it. Okay. There are some folks that I've actually mentored, and these are people that, even though I mentored them, when you mentor someone, you get something out of it. You get just as much out of it as the person that you're mentoring. And these were some young um, high schoolers that I was mentoring as a part of a mastermind group. And one of the things that I really uh, gleaned from them is that they really, the way they think, there is no boundaries, there's no limitations. They don't allow themselves to be confined by limit. And I think after having been exposed to them, that's where I got this phrase from. If you don't see it, then go out and create it. Because that's what I saw in them, as I was mentoring them, and I got inspired by that. So that's probably the best example I can give you on the fly as far as leveraging the power of creativity. But that's what I say my business is, and the way I do my business is probably the best way I leverage my creativity.
Thanks, Kris.
Excellent question.
Anyone else? Pam? No, anyone else? Okay. All right, Kris, continue on.
All right, number 9, your value added proposition. Okay, this is a good marketing term. What distinguishes you from others? What is your value added proposition? If you're going to do this as a business, if you're going to do this as a coach, and whether you do it one-on-one and whatever your clientele is, you have to be able to articulate what distinguishes you from others. Okay. Another question is, why should a potential client, quote unquote, hire you? What is the benefit to that client in hiring you as opposed to hiring someone else? Okay. And I encourage people to create their own, what I call value added proposition statement. To create your own value added proposition statement. Just to give you an example, mine is really, really simple, is really, really direct. I found this to be more effective than the one that I had prior to this. And basically, my value added proposition is that I'm in the people helping business. I help you get from where you are to where you want to be with clarity and precision. Again, I'm in the people helping business, and I help you get from where you are to where you want to be with clarity and precision. Real short, real concise, and so forth. I found that it, particularly in my area, it resonates a lot better than the ones that I had. It sounded more like a mission statement or a vision statement, and everybody just kind of like, I could see their eyes kind of like spinning, like, okay, what is he saying? Okay, but when I start saying I'm in the people helping business, and I help you get from where you want to where you want to be with clarity and precision, there's like, okay, I get it. Okay, come up with your own value added proposition. And I think that would be an excellent uh, um, addition to your comprehensive marketing plan. Speaking of which, here's number 10, your having a marketing plan. I wish I had time to kind of dive into this in more specifics. Again, I could spend the rest of the evening on this, but I'm encouraged by the fact that Mr. Arvell Craig is going to be talking to you guys, and he probably would do a whole lot better job than I would, quite frankly, because I'm gleaming from his knowledge and wisdom too. But one of the things that I'm beginning to learn and develop myself is what I call a marketing ladder as well as a marketing funnel. The marketing ladder is basically those things within my company that I'm providing for my customers so where they could progressively come from one step to the next. What's going to be my freebie, and how does that freebie lead to a coaching session or a training session or a consultation? One of the things that I've found is that having a wide array of options or a ladder that leads my clients to a specific goal has helped me out tremendously. And more specifically, there have been times when I couldn't get a coaching deal or gig for one specific company, but I found an opening through me coming in as a trainer and actually specifically doing some kind of training. Let's say, for example, you want to approach you're going to be an executive coach, and you have a marketing acumen or expertise. Well, you may not necessarily get that Fortune 500 executive on the first try, or what have you. You may not get them at all, but perhaps you can go through what I call the training door, where you could actually provide some kind of training workshop as it relates to, let's say, marketing, because you're an expert when it comes to marketing. And through that training door, now this is something that's actually happened for me personally. Through that training door, once they saw what I had to offer through that workshop, then it grew. Again, here's the ladder. I went from training to consultation, or maybe I went from training to actually a specific coaching, a specific client within that company. And then from there, once I was able to do the actual specific coaching within that particular employee, it went from there to actually consultation, where I'm consulting either the board or I'm consulting an actual department. You follow what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by the marketing ladder. Now, the marketing funnel is something that's a little bit more different, in the sense that this is where you go out and it's a part of your marketing strategy. And based on your marketing goals, whether it be monthly, quarterly, or annual goals, the marketing funnel is basically saying, hey, at the very top, everybody's a stranger. I'm going to do something on the internet or whatever like that, let people know that I'm in the coaching business. So when you do that, the top of the actual marketing funnel is awareness, and then consideration, and then the customer goes through their preference, then they purchase, then you want them to get to the point where they become your loyal fans, if you will, and then you get to advocacy, where they actually become your advocate and they become part of your audience. Now, I went through this very, very fast. There's a lot more in-depth detail when it comes to all of these things, because you want to get to the point, whatever marketing strategy that you have, you want to get to the point where anybody who's thinking about a service that you could actually help them in, you want to get to those people, and you want to get to their mind level, their thought level. When they start thinking, when they become aware that they have a problem or a pain, they think of you. Okay. But that takes time, that takes strategy for you to actually do that. Well, the marketing ladder and the marketing funnel, and I'm sure that's something that Arvell is going to talk to you guys more in greater detail, is how you get to that point. Lastly, is the last thing here I have is the adaptability. You have to be adaptable. You have to be adaptable. And I showed you guys one of the things, my core three businesses that I have, but I'm actually taking it up a notch, where I'm not only going to be doing Common Sense Realty, New Beginnings Education Training Network, but I see a niche where I'm going to be partnering up with a staffing agency. We're going to call it the Gig Staffing Agency, because I personally believe, based on my research, that there's going to be an increasing percentage of job opportunities are going to be what I call those short-term contractual engagements, temporary work, those kinds of things. And it nestles right quite well with what I'm already doing. I'm going to also be doing what I call Manifest, which is a speaking guild that I'm actually, a speaking bureau that I'm actually developing with a number of people, a number of speakers in both North and South Carolina. And so what I'm doing is I'm adapting. I'm growing and I'm adapting, and it's not just me. This thing is way bigger than me. When I did Fountain Associates and created Fountain Associates, I knew it had to be bigger than me. I believe that God put Fountain Associates in my spirit, not only for myself, but for others, because I realized that my success, and part of the reason why I'm here in terms of my success, is seeing and serving and helping others succeed. And I think that's part of my purpose in life. And so with that being said, I'm actually uh, I'm actually campaigning right now. I've got an open enrollment period right now, where I'm looking for people who are in the coaching business, people who actually, uh-oh, I messed up. People who are in the coaching business, people who are actually uh, may want to consider being an associate. I don't know why my stuff got dark. I don't know why it got dark on me.
Still good now, Kris.
Oh, you still good? Okay, you side's good. Okay, as long as your side is good. Okay, but what my point is that I'm looking for associates and affiliates. People who associates are people who want to be partner with me, who as an individual, or if you want to partner through your business as an affiliate, there's a way where we can partner together. Uh, Again, everybody still has their own autonomy and independence. It's just if opportunities present themselves where there may be something in a particular market or a particular or specific niche that you have, that I say, hey, I need you to talk to this person in Michigan or whatever else like that, that we can actually partner together. I just started doing this. I just opened this up last week. I've got about a handful of people in North Carolina, 2 or 3 people in South Carolina. Because you guys are a part of Pastor Armstrong's coaching certification process, I know you guys are getting the best possible learning techniques on how to be a coach. I want to open it up to you guys as well. My website as well as my email address is right there on the screen. If anybody that is interested in being a part of the Fountain Associates family as an associate or an affiliate, just email me and I will get back with you guys as soon as possible within a day or two, and we'll talk more specifically about what this all looks like as it relates to me expanding the business, particularly when it comes to coaching opportunities. There's no obligation on your part in terms of whether or not you do it or not. And even if you join, there's not going to be any quotas or anything else like that. It's just that if opportunities present themselves, then certainly, and if it makes sense based on your expertise and your specific niche as far as coaching, I would love to partner with you guys. So with that being said, I want to see if anybody had any questions before I went into, oh my goodness, it's 7:30, Pastor Brooks. I'm way over time. Went into anything else. If you have any questions related to any of the points that we just talked about today.
Any questions? Yes, Yolanda.
Kris, can you give us an example of what you would say to a potential client of why they would hire you over someone else? What would you say?
Well, that's a fantastic question. I think that probably I'll go back to again my value added proposition. I go back off my track record. I talk to them and I'll just say, Mr. Client, I'm in the people helping business. And I simply say that I help people get from where they are to where they want to be with clarity and precision. And then I talk to them about my process. I said specifically, we will have a 30-minute conversation. And upon that 30-minute conversation, I'm going to also follow up with having you fill out a questionnaire. I give them a questionnaire, and I said, based upon that questionnaire, within 48 hours, I will have a coaching plan for you, specific for you, customized specific for you based on our conversation and our questionnaire. When can we get started?
Donna.
Kris, this is Donna Levesque. How are you?
Hey, Donna, how are you?
One question.
Yes.
When you moved to Charlotte, that was a new area for you, right?
Yes.
Okay. So and I heard that your first year was fantastic.
Uh-huh.
So can you give us an idea, because I think it would help folks to understand how you start from scratch. How did you, when you moved and you wanted to build your business, give us some idea of how you did that?
Well, that's an excellent question, Donna. Going back to the point where I said this is a reputation and a relationship building business. What I did, and this kind of goes back to when someone asked a question about creativity and how I was being creative or whatever, how I leverage creativity. What I did is that when I first came here in 2010, no one knew me from Adam. And like you said, Donna, I was starting from scratch. I had a position, however, where I was in the actual job that I had was for a nonprofit organization where I was a training director. Okay, and I was actually training housing counselors, realtors, loan officers, so on and so forth in both North and South Carolina. So in many respects, that's how I began to build my reputation and build my relationships from there. I did that for 7 years before I actually branched out. So for me, it was actually a lot more. I'm still doing it on a contractual basis. The people I used to do it for as an employee, I'm doing it for them as a contractor now, believe it or not. Okay, so that's the other ironic thing. But anyway, what my point is that throughout those years, I was building a reputation and building relationships to the point where, again, just like the example I showed you before, they saw me in as a trainer. But after the end of those training sessions, and these training sessions will be like, these are like 5 days, these are like week-long training sessions. Well, after about a week, these people were like, look, Kris, we want you to come back to our office and talk to our board or talk to the executive director or someone like that. So after a while, I saw a niche, Donna, to answer your question more specifically. And being the entrepreneur that I am, I was like, once I establish myself and establish my name, build my reputation, and build these relationships, what I'm doing for them, I'm going to do for myself eventually. And so, for me, it was very fortunate that it was a very smooth transition from being an actual employee to actually, starting off my business, particularly the consulting business, back in 2014. So that kind of goes back to what I kind of go off. It kind of illustrates what I call the proof of concept. Okay, because that afforded me that the position afforded me to actually see it and prove that this concept actually works. So that minimized the risks. It didn't eliminate it totally, but it minimized the risk.
Shay?
Hi, this is Shay. I have a question about adaptability.
Yes.
When you were talking about adaptability and you went off into something about there was a job thing that was going on and so you adapted to it, how did you go about researching the trend that was going on in that area?
Good, excellent question. It actually, I read a book on it. I read I read a book during my 21 day fast. That was one of the books I read. You follow what I'm saying? And and then because that wasn't really my expertise, I actually started interviewing folks. I started talking to people here in North Carolina. I even talked to Margie Harden in Kalamazoo because I know that she's like in the recruiting business and things of that nature. And I just was just talking to her and talking to other folks who were professional recruiters and so forth, and getting their take and insight on it. And then I was like, well, man, I said, I'm not necessarily trying to create another initiative or another business, but I said, I can see where this can actually help. And this is how I would actually help as a Fountain Associates, as a consulting firm. My business model, and we didn't really talk about business models, which I think is very important, and business models and business concepts. But my business model of Fountain Associates is very similar to the international company called KPMG, which is an accounting firm. They're also a compliance firm too. And what I learned from them, again, through interviewing and talking to people, is that they essentially have different, what I call short-term engagements, or some people call them temporary work or whatever. They actually, in some cases, they will actually, within their KPMG model, their company, they would either solidify a contract, multi-million-dollar contracts, either in a traditional contractual sense, or if it made sense for that particular client, they would actually, quote unquote, temporarily hire somebody. You know, they will hire that person short term for like 6 months, just long enough to complete that compliance project or something like that. So what I did is I just adopted some of that. And I was like, okay, well, this is what I'm doing through Fountain and Associates. Okay. I'm going to have a number of associates who have specific expertise, okay, and experience in certain areas. And then I'm going to go out and, you know, on a national basis, reach out to folks that I know that would need our services, and then make the determination if it makes sense for these people to hire on an associate on a contractual basis, or to hire that consultant on a maybe a short-term temporary basis. And that's basically where I got it from. And I said, if I can do that and adopt the KPMG model, then it makes sense for me to move forward with this project.
What was the name of the book you read, Kris?
The name of the book is The Gig, G-I-G Economy. The Gig Economy. Yeah. So let me see what the author. You know, I used to be from the old school. I used to do everything by paper, but I got all these iPads and Kindles and everything else like that now. The author's name, let's see here. Oh my goodness, excuse me one moment. Yeah, it's The Gig, G-I-G Economy. It says the complete guide to getting better work, taking more time off, and financing the life you want. And the author is Diane, I think is Mulkey. It's spelled Mulchay. The Gig Economy.
Any more questions for Kris? Abra?
Hey, how you doing?
So you were talking about the value-added propositions and what your current one is, and you mentioned how it was better than what you used to say, which was more like a mission statement. Can you give us an example of what, like one of your old ones that you wouldn't recommend was?
Yeah, it was I kind of got rid of it. That is an excellent question, but let me dig a little bit, because what it really was, it was really like, it was primarily a description of what I did. It was like, you know, hey, you know, Fountain Associates, I'm a consultant, you know, this is a consultation management firm, and I focus primarily on small businesses and nonprofit organizations. And then I would get into, like, you know, I help people with fundraising, fund development. You know, it was almost like I was reading it like a brochure. It's like fund development, capacity building, organizational development. I'm just doing all these little bullet points and like that. and a lot of people were like, okay, because I could tell they was trying to process it. Okay. And don't take this the wrong way, but down here I got to keep it simple. You follow what I'm saying? I gotta keep it simple. So I was like, let me water this down a little bit, because I can see people's eyes just going aglaze when I'm telling them all this stuff. But more importantly, one of the things that I did is probably one of the worst marketing things that I could ever do. As I was talking about what I did, I was talking about features. I wasn't giving any benefits, you know, to them. And so when I made the change in the transition, to kind of answer your question more specifically, I was like, you know, hey, I'm in the people helping business. And I help you get from where you are to where you want to be. Okay. That's a benefit to them. What I was doing before that, I was just, you know, accentuating features of my business. I do all that stuff, you know what I mean? But it was a feature. It wasn't a benefit. And so I had to kind of rework that thing, you know, a little bit and tweak it. to where it was a benefit to them. And so that's what I would encourage you to do. If you're talking about anything in terms of value added proposition or anything where you got to give a pitch, if you will, to any particular client, make sure it is client centered and benefit laden. So it's based on their benefits and not the features.
Good. Any other questions? All right, keep going, brother. Got your bump.
All right. All right. Well, I got 3 pitfalls. I'm trying to see what screen do I have here. What am I doing? Okay, here we go. All right. You guys got the screen showing up as adaptability, right? Okay, great. Let me see here. So these are my bonuses here. These are the bonus sections. These are the 3 pitfalls that I would ask you guys to certainly avoid. And the first one is analysis paralysis. Analysis paralysis, I think we're all very familiar with that phrase, but I think that Henry Ford said it best when he said, you cannot build a reputation on what you are going to do. You cannot build a reputation on what you're going to do. So talking about it, thinking about it does not equate to doing it. You got to be like Nike. You just got to do it. You may not have all of the money. You may not have all the information. You may not even feel comfortable, but you just have to do it and then be okay with the process of failing forward. I know that's kind of hard for a lot of us, again, who are very meticulous, who want to be in control, who want to be like me, want to be cool and have everything together. But I'm encouraging you that don't fall in that trap of analysis paralysis. Talking about it and thinking about it does not equate to actually doing it. Okay. Third one is tunnel vision. You cannot have tunnel vision. And I look at this 2 ways. One way is that you can't. Your tunnel vision is that you can't see the forest for the trees. Sometimes you got to get out and look at the big picture of what you're doing. Okay. Things are not going to necessarily happen the way you think that they are. Goes back to that adaptability piece, but also you got to look at the bigger picture. You as the leader, and if you're going to go into business, you are going to be the leader of that business. You have to have, foresight, you have to have hindsight, and you have to have vision, and you have to be up sometimes at that 5,000 foot level so that you can actually see the forest. The other thing too is that don't place all your eggs in one basket. I talked to you about examples of, there's been times where I have a corporate client now where they didn't start off as my corporate client. I had to go through the training door first, okay? If I had tunnel vision, I'm just saying, no, I'm just going to do consulting. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do that. I probably wouldn't have never actually got that client, but I had that training option that was there on the table. The other thing too is that when it comes to places, don't place all your eggs in one basket. Don't make the mistake I made 3 years ago where I had 2 or 3 nonprofit organizations that these were regional nonprofit organizations that I had, and I was getting the company was getting some good revenue. We had 6 to 12, sometimes 24-month contracts with these people, and I was feeling good about myself. You follow what I'm saying? And I just started out, I built this relationship with these people, with everything else like that, and I just had tunnel vision. I was just focusing on just them. Well, guess what happened? Some of their funding went down. It was eliminated or whatever. It's like that. Guess what's the first thing that they eliminated? They eliminated our contract. You follow what I'm saying? Because again, there was a segue in the contract. There's a clause in the contract that if they didn't have the funding available, then they could, pretty much eliminate the contract. They had to pay me for up until that point. But my point is this, is that don't put all your eggs in one basket. If you get to the point, and you will get to the point where you're going to actually be having some, 3-month contracts, 6-month contracts, 24-month contracts. These are what I would call your corporate clients, even though they may not be corporate, they may be nonprofit organizations, but they're the larger nonprofit organizations. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Diversify your portfolio. You need to have your corporate corporate clients, but you also need to have your coaching clients too, those shorter 1 month, 2 months, 3 month engagements and so forth. You want to diversify your portfolio. The last thing is that I call it pitfall that you want to avoid is what I call you forget the one thing. The last book that I actually read is called The One Thing by Keller Williams of Keller Williams Realty. And essentially what that is, when it talks about the one thing, they use essentially what I call the Pareto principle, where it's the 80-20 rule. And one of the things that they have on there, and I want to give you an example. I think this is the example here. Like for example, this was something I actually did 3 years ago, starting out with Fountain and Associates, and it was saying something about the one thing. And this principle here is that, okay, in business, what are the things that I need to do? And on the left side is my could do to-do list. If I want to start my own, have my own business, whatever's like that, what's the list of things that I need to have? So I just wrote down everything, and this is not an exhaustive list. It was more than this, but I just wrote everything down on there. Okay, and part of this process of narrowing down the one thing is that you ask this question. Once you get your list down on the left side, which is your could do list, and again, this is related to business. It's the question is this: what is the one thing that by doing it will make everything else easier or unnecessary? What is the one thing that by doing it will make everything else easier or unnecessary? So when I looked at that could do list on the left hand side, I broke it down, and I essentially, using the Pareto 80-20 rule, I essentially looked at every last one of those things on the to-do list, and I put it on the right-hand side was my 20%, which is my should do or my success list. Okay. And the only way it got on the should do list is that it actually, it was an answer to this question: what is the one thing that by doing it will make everything else easier or unnecessary? So when I, had to qualify based on that, and I came up with these 5 things on my should do list. Number 1, developing a business plan. Prospecting, building a team. Teamwork makes the dream work. 4, believe. And then 5, solve a problem or a pain. And I initially, when I had this set up, I didn't have them ranked. I just put these on the right-hand side. From the left-hand side, could-do list, to the right-hand side, should-do success list. And then I ranked them. And I was like, and then how did I rank them? I asked a question. I looked at these 5, and I said, okay, using the 80-20% rule, 80-20 Pareto rule, I said, ask the question: what is the one thing that by doing it will make everything else easier or unnecessary? And that's how I ranked them. And then I came up with number 1, develop a business plan. So when I did develop the business plan, I was like, okay, based on me develop a business plan, and this is in the green area here, I said, what are the 5 things that I need to do to develop my business plan? So it's like, number 1 was ask my professional mentors about their business plan. Ask my peer mentors about their business plan. Do some research on business plan models as it relates to speaking, training, and consulting. Research business plan models, small business, Fortune 100 companies. That's how I found out about KPMG and their model and everything else like that. And it said, then contact the local small business association administration, and see if they got some workshops and stuff like that. They had tons of free workshops and resources, not only to build a business plan, but also how you can be, your company can be a government contractor and things of that nature. And so basically that's what I did. And so I just broke it down, all the ideas. If you're a type of person where you just got all kinds of ideas and concepts in your head, just write them down and put them on that could-do list, and then just simply ask the question: what is the one thing that you could do that by doing it will make everything else easier or unnecessary? And take that list and break it down to from that list of 100%, take 20% of those ideas and put them on the should do side, and then rank them. That's all I got, y'all.
Any other questions for Kris? Donna?
Chris, how does that relate to the, what they call the IPAs, the income producing activity? You've probably heard it where people say you look at your activities and you focus on that, which is going to be income producing. Yes. Is that a similar kind of concept?
Yeah, Donna, that's a very good point, and I think that's a very similar concept. The one thing that I think that where this might be a little bit different is that I just showed you the business side section, but I actually applied this to every facet of my life: health and fitness, spirituality, having fun. You follow what I'm saying? Family, all those things. And I actually have a spreadsheet, basically, not a spreadsheet, but it's an actual document. I call it the Kris Fountain Master Plan, where I did this for every section of my life.
That's good.
Any other questions for Kris? Before you leave, Kris, I'm gonna ask them something, because I just want to hear what they had to say. I need to hear someone, if you can give me one takeaway you got from the day. Anyone? One takeaway.
Start where you are.
Not where you are.
You cannot build a reputation of what you are going to do.
That's good.
Eliminate all distractions. Yeah.
Personal
Good.
development.
What is that?
Personal development.
Personal development.
That too. I got that too.
Okay.
Could do and should do.
What is that?
The could do or should do.
Could do or should do.
That's good.
All 11 principles.
Wait. Staff your weakness. Let's go. Donna.
Staff your weakness.
Reading books.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Shay.
Considering your value-added proposition on marketing.
Consider your value added proposition. That's good.
Put in the
Good.
way childish things.
Put away childish things. Let's give Kris a hand. That was Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you again. I'll be talking to you very soon.
All right, sounds good. You guys come visit me down here in the Queen City. The weather is lovely.
I'll wave bye to him. Okay?
All right.
Angie, hi.
All right, I sure will.
Tell her thank you, man, for allowing you to have 2 hours with us.
Oh, absolutely.
Dinner time. Okay, very good. Just real quick, I want you to take, let me see, a 10-minute break. We're gonna come back. We're gonna come back and go into phase 2. And I'm gonna share with you something Kris said today that really confirmed what I believe God was speaking to me about our mastermind group for the future. It's gonna be a totally different format. So you got a 10-minute break when we come back.
Keep this recording.
I was wondering how fast.
I know. One way. I'm just saying.
Sleep, you can tell. On my way down, it's normally so now that he's got it, again, so right about now, I'm hungry again today's our anniversary. Yes. So is your I was cold. Yeah. He said, I ain't ready yet. Oh, yeah, that's
Oh, wait. I don't know. Yeah, he's so on the side.
We've been there a few times. We like that place. No, the apple pie. Like, I'll eat the bit out of time. Like, I want apple pie now. Like, they give you these. Oh, yeah. Yeah, my birthday celebration will be on. Okay. Let me know next Monday when you hear you like this, what you thought and everything. It looks like one of those. Okay. I think we don't need no. I want to give you extra money. Oh, nice. No, I don't think anyone said. Oh, I guess I am.
I said it real nicely.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. Yeah, man. That's the hospital. I'm used to talking I'm used
And next year you're gonna get
Yeah. I just put I can put a full tank on Tennessee.
All right, let's get back so we can finish up. Okay, this is what your final day. Talk a little bit about the final.
Like Pastor Joyce, you gotta put the light.
Flick the light, I gotta ask my wife to go flick the light. Okay, so we'll. First of all, before we go on a couple of announcements, we're going to talk for the rest of this time, for the next 30 minutes, about your two finals. Or your one final, but two assignments during your final. But before I get to that, a couple of announcements. For the Christian certification, the place assessment, there's two areas. One, you, as I said, if you were not here that Saturday, you know who you are, so I don't have to mention you. But however, Yolanda and Mark, you've already taken this.
Yes.
So I want you to know you've already went through this. You can go, if you were not here that Saturday, you can go, the church or Teresa's doing some similar training on Sunday mornings at 8:30 to 9:45. And you have your book, you just have to take your place assessment. That's one. But you say, well, I can't make that. Then give me a call because I do have video or DVDs that you can also use. But I have to have a charger deposit on it because I only have one set. And sometimes when you loan out DVDs, they don't get returned. They get lost. Yeah. Or I'm gonna try to make copies for them, but I gotta see about that. Yes, Jay.
What if you took the coaching and training in the SALT class already?
If she says you went through this right here, then you're good. You're good. I mean, I want you to be familiar with it, but I have a set from Atlanta where they did the training just through the DVD series. And I'll see if they give me permission to run off a couple, at least one copy for loan. So those are the two possibilities, but make sure you have your books for that in that area. Two, there's a sheet. You have this before, most of you have this. It's back on the back side. Should be on the table back there. It says the coaching agenda, questions to help your clients stay on their agenda. And this is for you as a toolkit because you're going to be coaching a lot this last semester. That's part of your final. I'm going to go through that in a minute. And you're going to have 4 coaching sessions, not to record, but I want you to journal. And I'm gonna talk about what's gonna be involved in the journaling because you wanna take good notes on the client to coach you. And that's why I'm trying to get you to take good notes. And the journal has to be turned into me because I wanna see the notes you take on each other. And when you do the wealth coaching, if someone knows someone, I'm gonna take someone like Pam and I did last, but I don't wanna take anyone in the class because we'll be coaching one another in the class. I wanna take someone from somewhere else and just coach them here. So they're willing to come in and be coached in front of you. For that, and 3 of the sessions I'm going to do first, and you have to do a 4th one on your own during the time. I'm going to explain that in a minute. But this is just for your information. It's part of your toolkit. Remember, you coach each other. These are questions you can ask, but you're not obligated to ask. Okay. So let's get into the final. We're just going to talk about the final. Now, the good thing about it, when we do the wealth coaching, you have the basics, you have the fundamentals. It's going to just be coaching. It's going to be a lot of coaching. I would say probably a good hour of coaching. 20 minutes, then you can sit back and do some writing to put your journal together. And then when you do the other part, which is developing, how I said, your coaching business plan, we're going to break that into a mastermind group. I strongly believe people can help each other in developing the business plan. And I have questions you can start off by asking. I'm going to go through all that today, just to give you a review. And one of the things I tell you for the business plan, take some time alone with God and just pray. Get into another place and pray and don't let the business plan figure. I'm not looking at the business plan that you turn into be A, B, C, D, or F. I want you to have something that you see. Because if it's not written down, it doesn't exist. And some of you say, well, I'm not going into coaching. That's all right. Imagine yourself. What would you do if you had something you're doing? And I'm going to talk about all those in a minute. But your mastermind group are going to work strong in this because people have so much wisdom, they're going to pour into you. And it's going to really be a blessing to you. So as we get going, hello.
So Pastor Armstrong, I just want to confirm that we'll have 2 finals. 1 final, 2 assignments that make up part A and part B.
So the wealth coaching final, there are 4 coaching sessions. At least 3 of them we're going to do here. One, if we don't get to it here because of a holiday, you're going to have to do over the phone with where your coaching partner is. That's why if you're coaching someone here, if you're a partner with someone, make sure you're here. Because if you don't show up, it messes up with it. And so we want to make sure we have coaching partners who are here for the coaching. And the wealth coaching part is going to be the second half. Sometimes people say, I'm running late. As long as you're here by 7:30, that's when we start the wealth coaching. Shay?
So here in this document is before about the requirements for certification, 5 wealth coaching certification.
I changed that. It's 4. That's been changed. It's 4. Number 5, wealth coaching certification. Okay.
So B would be what you're doing now. So
exactly.
Okay.
Okay. And so after that, this report, this journal that you keep is due the last coaching class. And you can send it to me electronically. That would even be better. If you want to make a copy for me, that's good. I still do paper.
So this is a journal of all of our sessions?
Of your session. I'm going to go over, you have your 4 coaching sessions. Each session is a different part. I'm going to go over it right now. Okay, your journal, that will contain what? The first thing, name of your client, or who you're coaching. And really, as long as you match up with each other this week, and we're going to start it next week. You know, and you have clients, but if your client is not here, please see your mentor coach. Because we want to make sure you're working with someone who's going to be here. Otherwise, you're going to coach someone who's not in class. And I'm giving you 45 minutes to an hour to coach right here in class. You know. Okay. Day and time of these coaching sessions, whatever. You want it, all that is a part of your coaching plan.
Are you emailing this?
You're gonna get an email. I got it written out right here. I got paper.
Okay.
Those in place, you'll get an email too.
So we don't have to write. You
Hey, you don't have to write everything. Thank you, Lord. I got everything on here. You're gonna get plus I'm gonna email it. Coaching session is 4 separate sessions. So don't just put one session in this. I want all this for each session. The next one, as it says here, what did your client want to accomplish? We're talking about wealth coaching. Some people may want to get out of debt. Some people may want to start a retirement fund. Some people may want to save more. Some people may want to give more. And I'm gonna give you some tools that I'll be using with this person, and I don't know who that person is, for the wealth coaching or the money coaching, some people call it. What were the obstacles or challenges? And this is something after you go through the conversation with your client. Okay, these are obstacles I know. This is what I noticed the first week, second week, third week. You might say there were no obstacles, there were no challenges. They made everything. Okay, what was the SMART goal? Got to have a SMART goal. And to accomplish that SMART goal, go to the next goal. What were the options? Remember we talked about the 5 options. Now, one thing about financial coaching or money coaching, it involves 2 components. It's the coaching component, but also it may be the educational component. Slightly different. And I'm going to have a tool where I give people, I'm giving people now to say, if you want to learn more about finances, check this out. If they want to. What were the action steps? What's the action step there? And you're bringing it out of them. This is what I'm going to do. I want to get out of debt, so I don't know what to do. What's the first thing you would do? Or you could do? And they might say, well, I'm going to research how to get out of debt. That's an action step. So between this week and next week, you're going to come back with what research you got about how to get out of debt. Everyone still understand what I'm saying? And this is you're going to be coaching each other, man. They just make sure you hear. Okay, now, did they complete their action step? That's the next time. Yes or no, and what happened, or why not? Why did they, why didn't they? It's all a bit part. Now, these are your observations for the things. As you coach them, what am I observing after coaching my client? What do I observe from them? One, what were your client's outcomes or progress? What progress are they making from week to week? Remember, we celebrate first downs on the way to a touchdown. And want to know what are their outcomes, what are their progress? And you're coaching them in that. Now, I'm getting ahead to the next week, so I'm not going to get into that. Strength, identify what went right and why was it successful. So when a client did do something that went well, Sheriff, tell me, what made that so successful? What was right about that? And then that client will let you know, your client will let you know, and you record that for that. Weaknesses, identify what went wrong and why did it occur. If they said they were going to do something, and I'm going to use Pam since she's standing up here. But no, Pam and I was up here, and we talked about what didn't work last time. And Pam went over some things, but we did find out some things she did well. And we came back to regroup. Everyone's still with us. And you're going to get those, but you really can get them when people talk about money. Future actions, what needs to change or done better? And these are observations you are making as you coach your client and you're writing them down. Because your client said, well, I need to do this. I think I can go from here to here, and you're recording that. Now, I'm not saying you have to go and you're going to turn in a report or a journal with every question asked, but I want you to get the broad picture of it in that regard. And then 5, any rewards for completing action steps and moving closer to their goal? If yes, what were they? In other words, sometimes you say, how would you reward yourself once you get to $100 in your checking account? Or $500. They go say spend some more money. No. Let's not go there. But that's part of your journal right there. Everyone still with me on that? Okay. Now, this right here, this is not something you have to do. You get to if you want to. We call it the 135 goal plan for your client. This is from our 100-day challenge. What is the one goal your client wants to achieve? I call it the 101% principle. You find out, you identify one SMART goal, put 100% of your energy and help your client achieve that goal. 2, have your client give 3 reasons why the goal is important to him or her. You can have them give 3 reasons why, or you can say, what makes this important to you? And the reason why is when the why is strong enough, the what won't matter. But the why has to be strong enough to motivate them to say, I want this done. And number 3, have your client list up to 5 action steps that will take to help get them to their goal. What are the action steps? And you're going to, these are options. These are just other things you can do with your client, which would be someone in here. 6 important questions you can ask your client. Again, this is from our 100-day challenge. What is the specific goal your client wants to achieve? Why does your client want to achieve this goal? Or what makes this goal so important to your client? Well, they have a goal. What makes it so important? Normally, I tell people, if they give me a goal on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, where do you rate the importance of this goal? Anything less than 8, I only work with them all. I said, what can take it from 7 to 9? Okay, what's something, is there anything you won't do? 3, where's your currently starting from? Should be where your current starting point from as it relates to the goal. Where are they? Each of you next week will be getting a financial fitness assessment. And it has a scoreboard to know where you are to where you want to go. And the reason why I made this one up with something else is because I want people to see they may grow 15 points, but they can see their progress. So at the end of 3 months, I can say, okay, we've taken from here, from 30 points to 60 points. Just think if you with me for a year, where we're going to go. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a measure tool to help you measure outcomes.
That's good.
You know, in that area. You're going to all have a chance to take them. Whoever I'm talking to next week, and if I can't get anyone, I'm going to call someone out of the audience here. Yeah, Cameron won't be you again, as much as I would love to, girl. I know part of you, but you want to make money. How would your client achieve his or her goal? What are the action steps? That's all that's saying. How are they going to go about to get from here to there? And these are not things you have to use, they're just a part of your toolkit. And remember, when you're talking about your client, you're talking over the phone. And 3, who will be involved in helping your client achieve the goal? Are they going to have someone else working with them? Again, sometimes in finance, the person may go to a credit counselor. Or they may need someone to help them do a budget. You're not the one to do that. Okay? But they may need to go somewhere to help someone. Now, some people have that expertise. They say, I'll work with your budget, but it's going to be another session, it's going to be another cost. And number 6, when will your client achieve the goal? A lot of times when you talk about financial or money coaching or wealth coaching or financial coaching, you want to go at least 6 months. Because then you see more drastic change, especially if they want to increase their savings or decrease their debt. And every month you meet with them, if you meet with them twice a month, at least one time during that month, you can say, how much debt did you decrease? How much savings did you increase? You have to get those key points, because those are measuring tools. And those are outcomes. And one of the biggest challenges coaches have is they don't have outcomes that people can see results.
True.
And that's something you want to learn in whatever field you're in. That's why whenever you do it, Donna showed you, when she said she showed you the life wheel. Until whatever type of wheel you do, or whatever type of scale you do, have some measuring point where you can go back to this is where we are. This is where you are. I'm gonna have that. Okay. Any questions on the first half? We're gonna do 4 sessions, right? Next Saturday, next Monday, the 8th and the 15th. I know we're doing a session, and then the first Monday in June, we're doing wealth coaching. I'm doing 3 of them with demonstrations here. You got to figure out a 4th one to do before that, June 5th, June 12th. And it might be one you just call each other on the phone and do it. But we'll do 3 demos here, and then there'll be a 4th one you have to do. Now, the second one is a life coaching business model plan. I believe if you're going to go into business, coaching is a business, you should have a business model to go by. But some of you might say, I'm not going into business. Ministry of life, you want to develop something for this class. You know, and I'm going to tell you, you're going to be better because of it. Yeah. You know, in terms of and what we're going to have for here is a part 1 and part 2, creating your own business plan. Again, I have everything here that you get a chance to get. Creating your own business plan. 1, purpose. Why do you want to coach? I want to help people. I think God has equipped me to help people go from one level to the next. That was Chris's his, what is it called? His little speech. Well, you know what it is. Joe, what do you see yourself as a coach? How do you see yourself? You know, and I'm gonna have some questions now. And these are gonna be great discussion questions in your mastermind group. And don't be, and that's why every week from now on out, we're gonna be going over this in our mastermind group. Number 3, mission. How will you do it? And I'm not looking for a certain answer. I want it to come from your heart. I'm not gonna say, oh, that's not a mission statement. I don't look for what's gonna come from your heart. I want to be yours. Number 4, values. How does your business align with your values? We've gone through values. I think Donna went through them, we went through them. So you want to make sure whatever your coaching business is gonna line up with your values. You don't want to compromise those. Niche. Who are you called to serve and what are you called to do? This part is so important right here. We're going to spend this is going to be probably my longest individual thing, is how to discover your niche. It's going to be so important because some people, I had all this stuff, my master coach said, Urban, erase everything. You're too broad. You're doing too many things. You need to focus on something. I'm thinking I can get, the more I have out there, the more people I can get. It's a no. Jack of all trades, master of nothing. Focus on what you're going to focus on. Clients, how will you contact them? Clear contact strategy. Are you gonna do personal contact? Are you gonna do the internet? Are you gonna do Facebook only, LinkedIn, things like that? Marketing, how are you going to reach the buyer of your services? How will you market your business? Again, those are very similar, clear marketing strategies. Marketing is going to be so involved. And that the next mastermind group I have, we're going to focus totally on marketing globally. I'm looking at global. It doesn't matter if you're marketing a book, or you're marketing jewelry, or you're marketing a coaching business. You want to market globally and not just locally, because we are serving a global economy. And so we're going to be doing, folks are going to be strolling for those who are serious about building an online business. Coaching will be the main thing, but I'm talking about marketing. And what happened, I was on the other one is Joyce and Donna. I've shared this with. I knew that was a weakness I had. Now, you know, you're on staff, I got to do something about marketing. So I took a class last summer. It was very good on marketing, but I got stuck because I said, man, I got so much to do. But now I recognize the power of a mastermind group that we all will give to help one another. And I have the tools. They gave me checkpoints. They gave me this from 1 to 10. Where are you with this? And I said, I'm going all the way to 10. Because I know for me to be successful, I want you successful. And this is my heart, my passion, to see people who want to coach. Everyone doesn't want to, but those who want to coach, you're not going to do it successfully from friends and family. It's going to be global. Global. And so we got to learn how to market global. And I'm not in this by myself. Remember how Kris talked about partnership? Yes. You're my partner right now. We're going to go globally. And we have so much wisdom in this room. Measurement. How do you measure your outcomes of the success of your business? I was talking to a couple. I was taking through pastoral financial coaching, and they couldn't measure the success. I said, now, how do you got 5 businesses? You can't tell me how much what they're bringing in and going out? That doesn't include your time? I said, you need to be organized. Probably need to take Teresa's trash class. Organization. How do you measure success? And that's something you're going to come up with. I have a measure to where this is what I know success financially, as well as mentally, emotionally, and spiritually for me. Creating your own business plan, part 2. Any questions on part 1? Yes.
How does, for those who completed their PDA, is this separate or can they take their PDA and insert it into the...
Very good. They can take their PDA and insert it in. Okay, now I had that talk today because I'm not trying to get you to do something totally different. I want it in alignment with it. I want to cover it from your heart. That's the most important thing I want.
So a lot of that's already done.
Exactly. But my key, if it's not written down, it doesn't exist. Creating your business plan part 2 is just to carry over. You want to just learn how to use SMART goals. I'm not saying you have to use it in the business plan, but if you got certain goals, well, you will have to use it. Make sure they're SMART. We'll get into that. Now, this is very important. You may have to do some research on this, a SWOT analysis. First, it starts off, what are your strengths? What do you bring to the table? And see, remember what Kris said, you got to believe in yourself first. What are your strengths? What are you bringing as a coach? And everybody here has strengths. Sometimes we fail to realize the strength God has given us, but you are gifted. And what do you bring to the table? And don't compare yourself to anyone else because then you're missing the ball.
Amen.
So you got to bring up, well, what are my strengths? Because that's going to take you. What are your strengths? I should have said, what are your passions? You know, but those are a couple of things. Now, what are your weaknesses? You learn how to staff that, but you need to be real with yourself. What are your opportunities? See, for me, opportunity now is global. I'm still, because I'm a personal person, I'm still going to have a local site. Joyce and I was talking about today, when we leave from Stone's Church here, there's going to be more people coming in when we go to another site. And we got a couple of hotels in mind to use to go for the future. You know, but that's an opportunity. Yes.
Just to add on, the strengths and weaknesses are internal, and the opportunities and threats are external factors that are impacting your business, like what's going on with the economy, what's going on with your competitor, and then you bring all of that together, which ladders up to your marketing plan.
That's very good. And that was another. What are your competitors doing?
Research.
See, when I first looked at Abundant Life Coaching for You, that was my first name. Okay, I didn't see anyone that was coaching people. But then when I went into the academy, there were no academies in Southwest Michigan. Now I found out there were 2 other ones. And that's how I went to the academy. And really, I was the leading of the Holy Spirit. Okay, so if you're going into health coaches, or if you're going into relationship coaching, or you're going into executive coaching, where are those other coaches? How do you get in there? Who are you competing with? Now, most coaches are global. You heard Kris say, man, he said he had very few people in Charlotte. But in order to go global, you have to market yourself global. That's why it's so important for me to the next crew going in for the mastermind group. We're gonna be focusing on marketing global, for that. And then the threats, again, when you say that again, Catherine, you said internally and externally.
Yeah, your strengths and weaknesses are internal factors that are impacting you. So it's said differently, it's the things that you can't control. So maybe your strength, and let's just say, I'm just gonna pull Abra out because I see her in front of me. One of her strengths would be, her experience, bada bing, bada boom, right? Her weakness could be some things that she's lacking. The opportunities and threats could be
An opportunity could be, and you know, this is global. A threat could be she has a lot of competition that's here already. And so you get all of that so that you can, once you get that, then you understand what your point of difference, or said differently, your value proposition is. So it's what you don't have control over that's impacting, like economy and that kind of thing.
Okay, she said much better than I did. That's when it's correct. But a lot of times people don't know that. And I really want you to become aware of that when you're thinking business mind. You know, see, my goal, I want everyone who says I want to have money out of business, I want to be successful. And that's why I said the first year there's a pay, but the next 2 years it won't be. But you got to make the commitment, because sometimes when people don't pay, they don't commit.
That's right.
But I'm not responsible for your failure or your success. All I am is a tool to be used of God to help you go from here to there. You know. Next one, your projected expenses for at least 1 year. Where do you see yourself next year at this time? And you say, if I set it too high, I might miss. If you don't set it all, you guarantee to miss. You know, I had goals for my first year, second year, going into my third year. And I said by my 5th year, my goal was that I'll be able to replace my income at the church, so the church wants to pay me. That's a 5th year. But what if you don't make it? I know I'm higher than if I hadn't said anything. Yeah.
Revenue and expenses. It should be revenue. Yep. There you go. For 1 year.
Yeah, for 1 year. Projected income for 1 year. Now, if you say, I'm going to make 40,000, right? You got to figure out how you're going to make those 40,000. Remember, I said, normally it takes about 3 years to get your business into the black. Your projected budget. And you say, well, I'm not, just imagine yourself doing it. But those are part of SMART goals. And then again, your vision written out for your first year, we call it a future vision. You see yourself June of 2018. Where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself doing the same thing? You have to change. And again, I don't want you to be deep. I want you to see yourself how God sees you and what He's called you into. And this is my favorite, because this is what I'm doing. I call it my 2020 vision. And I'm saying, bro, this could be a little bit different, because it could be about coaching business, but it could be about ministry or life. Any one of the three. I just like 2020. I know in 3 years, 2020, this is where I'll be. We retire from New Genesis. 5 streams of income coming in. Working from home. Ministry just as I've led. You know, still serving. And I understand what I'm saying. And I have it already. This is how much I have. My kids interviewed me about it. When I was in Charlotte, I said, Josh, I'm dad gonna have this. I believe in God for everything. And I was telling the one class we have on Sunday morning, I said, I made so many financial mistakes. I know God called me to up. But I learned from all the financial mistakes I've made. I know He called me. Whatever. So
That's the criteria.
And so that's the business plan part 2. And all that, but I really want you to spend time with God and just go over the questions. Now, to help you create your vision plan, these are things that can be given in your mastermind group, because every week, I can tell you, every week from now on out, we're meeting in a mastermind group about the business plan. Every week, because I see it's that important. And I know the power of a mastermind group. Many of you have not been a part of it, like you're going to be over the next 4 to 5 weeks, but I know the power of a mastermind group. So, again, some of these people ask me, well, why do you want to coach? Go around, why do you want to coach? And you're going to find out someone's going to say something, man, that resonates with me too. And 2, I'm going to be sharing some things, probably the 3rd or 4th business session on why do we want licensed coaches. I'll be sharing some things also. What kind of coach do you want to be? All questions you ask. What clients do you want to coach? Very similar to what Kris was saying. Who's your ideal client? You know, because again, right now you may say, Jim, I don't know. But by the time June comes, you will have an idea. What problems do you want to solve? Because it's going to help you develop where your niche is. And a lot of times, the things you have experienced in life leads to the problems you want to solve in life. What impact do you want to have on these clients?
Can you say that again, Pastor? What you just said about-
I got to read that. Get the tape.
Okay.
I said the things you have experienced are the things you may want to solve. What impact do you want to have on these clients? I learned from Pastor Bush, you don't want to have just a little impact. You want to have a major impact on their lives in that area. So any life I come into, my goal is to have a major impact. That they won't remain the same. You won't remain the same. That you can look at from September, October through June, I've seen the change in myself. That God's working in me. What outcomes can you offer your client? That's part of your uniqueness. What can you offer that no one else can? And you're not comparing yourself, but what do you bring to the plate that someone said, I want to take your services on? And each of you, because you are fearfully and wonderfully made, you are unique, special, significant, and whole, you got something to offer. What experience do you bring to the table? A lot of things, the experience you've gone through is what God has set up you to take through someone else, help them. And what income do you want to make monthly or yearly? What do you want?
Now you're sending all of this to us, right? You say you're sending all of that to us?
You'll get it right here.
Okay.
I don't give it out of here because you can start looking at your phones and everything. Start going, I'll wait till the end. I'll wait till the end to get it out. But it's all from the fact that you get to the fact. I'm going to leave it up here. So before you leave, everything I went over on the PowerPoint is right here. One side is your business plan. Other side is your wealth plan. What additional streams of income will you have that are in alignment with your coaching? One of the things I'll be covering, there are 12 income streams that are in alignment with coaching. One of the easiest income streams, and again, down a little bit, and Joyce, we're just partners in crime, in a good sense. But one of the easiest streams of income you can tap into is called an affiliate. Affiliate doesn't cost you a dime. Most times when you affiliate, they do the marketing for you. You just put your little label to it, and then they send you the check. I've done affiliate marketing a couple times. Did one recently in January. Wasn't a lot of money, but for that once I made $500. I didn't do anything but send out stuff on Facebook. And they sent me a check. They had to wait to after. They had a 60-day warranty guarantee. So they couldn't send me anything for 60 days. They just sent me a check. I did it before. I had a check for $375 from another company. Didn't cost me anything. Just signed to be an affiliate. They did all the marketing for me. I just had to take what they sent me, send it somewhere else. And just send it out. Right. And then you have my name on it. You just had a number. Go to this link, go to this website, sign it up, it goes out to you. How many like to make extra $500 a month?
Yeah.
But it has to be something that was in alignment with you. I was going through one company, I said, man, don't you have an affiliate program? I was ready to sign up, but they didn't have one. I said, aren't you going to create one? Yeah, but that's one of the simple things. In fact, when I coach people, I tell people who are trained, I said, that should be one of the first things you market, you bring out of yourself. In fact, eventually, I'm going to get offered affiliates. It won't cost you anything. You'll be knowing that. I was going to be offered affiliates. We talked about that. Because it's a win-win situation. Okay? Right. What benefits will you receive from coaching? What additional streams of income will you have that are in alignment with your coaching? I tell people you should add no more than 2 streams of income each year in alignment with coaching. And so how many are going to write a book? Okay? So you definitely need to be in a mastermind group because you got to know how to market it. It's one thing to write a book, another thing to market a book, third thing to bring money from the book. And we're going to be talking about all of that. You know, and
I'm working on my third right now, working on that third.
and when I speak of marketing, I'm talking about globally. I'm not talking about locally. I'm strictly talking about globally. And you'll find out you may be offering one price here. Not no different, but you're going to find out people outside of Kalamazoo will pay you more for your services than people in Kalamazoo. You might as well get ready for that. That's why I said the next mastermind group is for those who are really serious about building any type of online business. And it doesn't have to be coaching, but any type of online business. And I'm learning, I'm growing, and I'm going. I just don't want to be by myself. I want a group to go with. Any questions? We got 10 minutes.
Can I share a comment?
Yes.
And Kris Fountain said it, as far as learning and not getting it right the first time. One thing about my personality is if I don't know how to do it, I'm okay goofing up, failing forward while I figure out how to do it. You know, and so just this week, this is a testament to that. Just this week, I submitted a press release, and the body was good, but they, you know, you had to have a catchy title, and I submitted it once, and they rejected it. It was like, no, the title needs to do this and do that, and I submitted it the second time, and they rejected it again. It was like, no, your title needs. I was like, okay, you know what? And I was like, God, I need a title. I need a title so it can get approved. I need something that's catchy, whatever. And so I submitted the third title, and today I got approved. So it went to 193 outlets. And the first person that grabbed the article was in Warsaw, Poland. Whoa! What's the name of the article? It's right here. It's called, I titled it, Author Receives an E-Book of the Year nomination because of what she said.
What was your title?
Because I said so. It's the title. Yeah.
2 years. We're very quiet about this young man is Alex. Let's give him a hand. And the reason why, because he's the one I'm talking about doing your video. And we're gonna be setting up something. I'm gonna get back to you about the videos and the videos. He'll coach you in it, but I'll tell you questions to answer for that. But that's what we're going to be doing as we prepare. Anything else? Okay, let's stand up. Let's make a circle. Don't forget to get your papers up after we close the circle. That's it. That's it. That's all I'm saying. I just got to read it from